Hey, folks, it's Lindsey Hudson with SPS back in the building with my guys. We got the crew in the building. We got Patrick and John Rutherford. We got Terry McCord Jr. and our guy Orlando Watkins is not far away, but he's out handling some business. He's been working so hard, doing so many great things for so many people. Probably working on that basketball tournament too. Shout out to Orlando. But here we are, guys, back for another one. Shout out my guy Rod Wilson gave us some audible discussion points that we'll try to get in as well, talking about the Dennis Schroeders and the Malice in the Palace documentary that came out on Netflix. We'll talk about that just a little bit, but get into it definitely for sure next week. Terry got to get his time to do his research and all that. And who knows? Patrick and John, were y'all at the Malice in the Palace? Was y'all,
no, I wasn't there. No.
All right, we'll go check them cameras.
But we were there. We were there when Tayshaun blocked Reggie's.
Oh, you went on the road to Indiana for that one?
The game before that was at the Palace. That was the game before.
Yep.
We went to. Remember, we went to that playoff series.
Okay.
We went to that playoff series. We went to the home games.
The home game. I love it. Well, guys, getting started with the show. We got a lot of great things to talk about. Thank you to everyone who's been giving great comments and giving their feedback. Your guy Aaron Patrick definitely has already sent in his top 5 dead or alive. We'll get to that later.
You already sent it in, you said?
Huh?
You said he already sent it in?
He already sent it in. So we're going to see.
Oh, okay. Wow.
If y'all one and the same. We're going to see about that. But on this show, man, a lot of great things have happened in this week in sports, man. Probably too many to name sometime. But we are going to talk about a number of things, including the NFL Hall of Fame ceremony. We are going to talk about who will have the best NBA Summer League. Okay, that'll be good. USAB, USA basketball, women's gold or men's gold. What's more impressive? The women have been on a 7 gold medal run, but the men still were able to find success. And, of course, the top 5 centers that are alive, and we'll work on some audible movements. But thank you to everybody who's out there. We got a comment already from our guy Aaron May saying, gentlemen, good evening. He's trying to be a good sport, Patrick.
What's going on, man?
Look at you like, Patrick is ready. Hey, John, you see your son jumping. He ready, man. It's okay. So with that being said, we want to talk about the Hall of Fame. I think that's something that's easy to get lost in the headlines, but the Hall of Fame induction ceremony was this weekend in Canton, Ohio. There are a number of individuals that got inducted. I can name some names right now. You had Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, Charles Woodson, John Lynch, Alan Faneca. Am I saying his name right? He's a guard with the Steelers and the Cardinals. Also, Drew Pearson. But coaches being inducted, Tom Flores, and other contributors is Bill Nunn. He's a scout for the Steelers. See, people don't understand, man. Not only just players get inducted, you got a scout that got inducted. And also, FYI, just to tell you what kind of goals I have in my life, along with getting that private jet, if John don't buy me one, is to get inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame, because anyone who's considered a contributor to the game can be eligible for induction. So it's not just players. So I say that maybe all 4 of us get inducted too. How about that, right? So with that, I'll defer to what Terry said. Terry said, mix it up a little bit, man. I don't got to come out the gate. Hey, Terry that has some contract negotiations. Patrick, like, man, no, man, we're going to change it up. So, Patrick, I'll start with you, man. Give me your take on this Hall of Fame ceremony, this induction. What stood out to you? I named all the individuals, so we don't want to take anything away from everyone, but just what's your take on this recent Hall of Fame induction?
2 things stood out to me. My generation is the Peyton Manning generation. And I've always been very tuned into the Manning family, period. I thought it was, I didn't know when I was watching Peyton Manning, one random day when I was young, my dad said, his dad was really good. And then I knew his brother played for the Giants. And so Peyton stood out to me, and then Calvin Johnson stood out to me because Megatron is the best wide receiver in Lions history, right?
Right. I'm not arguing that. Let me stop for a second, man. We got a guest, who's making a comment. Rod Elsie. Talk about somebody who's probably need to be in a football Hall of Fame. This brother and I grew up together from elementary school at McKinney Elementary in Detroit. From being in Detroit all the way, he was a serious football player all the time. He made it happen, man. You guys are looking with some familiarity. And
McKinney on Linwood?
No, McKinney Elementary on Pembroke and Burt Road on the west side. Part of the west side. But Rod, I want to thank you for dropping in. He's made Minnesota his home. He has a beautiful family, a great dude. But man, like Rod was our refrigerator Perry back when we was in elementary school. Just a big dude, good dude, love football. I think he had experience. Rod, I don't know if you went to COD at one time, College of the Desert. He put me onto that. Henry Ford High School, all that. Rod Elsie, man, thank you for checking in, brother. Always got some good people. So, Patrick, I didn't mean to interrupt, man, but when I get guys like this that I get a chance to give roses to, I want to do that, so definitely. So Patrick, so you said, talk about the Manning family, and we all knew Peyton was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but so please continue.
Yeah, his brother will be in the Hall of Fame. He's got 2 Super Bowls and a lot of yards. He'll be in the Hall of Fame. He's not as good as Peyton, but he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Let me ask
Archie in there. Archie's in there already, I believe.
There's really no question about the validity and the credibility of the Mannings being in the Hall of Fame. They look all the way around.
Yeah. And then, as you know, the young nephew, Cooper's son, the one that got
well, he's about to start off name, image, and likeness about $1 million already, right?
I don't know. You can't make. Some states they're not letting you make money in high school. Some states.
But in a minute, I mean, that's gonna be out the gate. They're gonna be ready for him, man.
Yeah, like that's why the boy Ohio State, Quentin Urs. That's why he left high school early because Texas
got to roll, man.
Texas not letting their high school kids do it. Yeah, but Peyton Manning stuck out to me, and then Calvin Johnson, Megatron. At one point in time, I thought he was just the greatest receiver in the world for a time there.
There was an image that I wouldn't have been surprised if you was the one who put it on social media. It was just an image of Calvin lined up, and I think they were playing the Saints, and it was 2 cornerbacks on him.
Oh my!
It was like that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh
they were both on him, and who knows what happened with that, Terry? You saw that, huh?
He stole mine. That was one of my my memories in.
Yeah.
There's a video on YouTube. You can look it up when we're done with this. There's a video of him when he was at Georgia Tech when he was in college. The ball was underthrown. He never broke stride. He reached back with one hand. It was behind him. Caught it with one hand. Just reached back and grabbed it. Kept going. Never.
Let me ask you this while we're talking about Calvin Johnson. I love the fact that with this great draft class, some have argued potentially one of the best draft Hall of Fame classes ever. With what the people who come together collectively. Let me ask you about this. And this is being a proud Detroiter, but is it almost like the curse of the Lions, the greats that we get, and how their careers seem a little unfulfilled? Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, if you will. What do you think, man? I don't know. Is that a tough question? Is that a fair question?
It's a fair question, and it's because of the when it comes to pro sports. You have to want to win it at every level of your organization. So it starts at the head. It starts with the ownership. And then you got to have good management and competent management. And then you got to obviously have the killers, the players to do it. You know what I mean?
Ford is great at building cars, but not necessarily at building pro football, professional championship team.
They look at, in my opinion, they look at the Lions like a $150 to $200 million ATM machine.
I get it.
I would think because the way that they operate, they don't operate. They make sure that they sell tickets and get their TV contracts, and they make sure that they have a couple stars to where they can sell merchandise.
It's just business. It's not a lifestyle that they're committed to because they got so much going on.
Exactly, but they're not committed to winning because if they want to win, then you would pay certain people and you go for it every once in a while. You may not be, you may not be somebody that's good every year like the Patriots, but every 5-10 years we're knocking on the door.
Exactly. I love that. John, you're still going to keep your senior status, if you will. I'm going to defer to our new contract negotiator, Terry McCord. But before I do that, Rod Elsie made a great comment that I'm sharing this publicly because this includes you. He says, keep doing what you're doing. I'm extremely proud of you and what you're doing for our community. Much blessings to you and your family. I'll take that. But it's these gentlemen who are helping me do this. I can't do it on my own. They have brought something great to the show. If you could have heard Terry and I having our conversation offline and talking about each of us in the hat that we wear, including Orlando, and what we bring, and it's so appreciated. So, Rod, I appreciate you, and I'm glad I'm able to share with what's going on. I agree. He said, I agree with this young man. Okay, he agree with you too. He said, you done got a friend in Patrick, Rod. You done got a friend in Patrick. That's cool. He may not say that about Aaron, But you got it in Patrick. I mess with you. So, Terry, let's go to you, man. Let's talk about your take on the Hall of Fame, man. NFL Hall of Fame induction this week.
Yeah, so I love the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame always feels like it hits home. My mother grew up, ton of family in Canton, Ohio.
That's right.
And
shout out to your mom. She's awesome.
Like our family, is so crazy about football, especially in that area. One of my aunt's high school team, they actually play in the Hall of Fame stadium for their high school home games. So it's a big deal down there. But just seeing guys like Peyton Manning, Megatron, that moment was really instilled in me when they lined up two dudes in front of him. Like, I was like, dude, I've never seen, as a kid, I'm like, this dude is amazing. Megatron, one and only. But you talk about legacy, though.
Hey, can we stop for a second on that note? Two things. My mom says she's watching everybody, so shout out to my mom, right? But go back to Megatron and those two players lining up. Think about what it takes for an NFL team and a defensive coordinator, head coach, and owner to sign off on double coverage on a player on the line of like, know what, dude, we all are pros, but we're going to have to still line up like that. It's almost like humility behind that. Like, no, dude, we got to get this man double coverage. So I just had to add that part,
And right there, legacy. Like, it takes two to cover Megatron every time. But the biggest thing with me, and I'll talk about this with Charles Woodson too, legacy that they left. When you get constantly compared to new up-and-coming guys every year, like Metcalf, Jones, Hopkins a little bit just because of his size, but like when you constantly get compared, oh, he's the next Megatron, or he's the next LeBron, or he's the next this, it's hard, but it just shows how much of a legacy and impact he left on the game when you constantly got to bring his name up. Any tall, big receiver that can run, Megatron, the first thing they think of. It does. I think at a certain point, legacy does play a big factor, and it's good to see how important that legacy is left. Even with Charles Woodson, like, that dude was a beast. I don't like Michigan, but he tore up Ohio State. I seen all the videos. All my friends, anybody that likes Michigan has sent me those. Charles Woodson was a beast.
Yeah.
I love what he did with the Packers. Dude was an all-time lockdown corner, but Megatron really just hit me different just because seeing on Fox every Sunday, getting double teamed like that in the red zone. I've never seen, you see double coverages, but you don't see people line up two dudes to jam you like that at all. And so that moment and that picture and that image will never leave me to this day.
Yeah. I saw you kind of nod your head in agreement, Patrick, when your brother from another, Aaron Mays, said Calvin Johnson was an absolute beast.
Yeah.
We can't argue that, but he does pose a question for you guys. Will Calvin Johnson's name make it to the Wall of Fame at Ford Field? Would Ford play hardball? I think he had made some comments that kind of tried to gloss over that relationship. But, at the end of the day, can the Fords really afford not to acknowledge Calvin Johnson? Come on, man. Give me a break.
No, they need that. They need that number in the Raptors.
They do. Before we go to John and get his take, I do want to stay on one thing with a few athletes. You mentioned Rod Woodson and also Edgerrin James. He has this story when he talked about his bust, from dreads to from gold teeth to a gold jacket. That says a lot. And John, I'd love to get your opinion about the evolution of the game, whether it's the Miami players and how they kind of made their way around, just to kind of get your historical perspective. But also back to Rod Woodson. Rod Woodson bet on himself, if you will, when he was an Ohio guy, Terry, right? And didn't go to Ohio State for whatever reason and ended up at, Michigan. So think about what he went through as a high school player, deciding to go to Michigan for whatever reason and to stay the course and still end up being in the Hall of Fame.
Are you talking about Charles Woodson?
I said Charles Woodson. You said Rod. I always used to confuse those guys. I meant to say Charles Woodson. Thank you for the clarity.
Okay,
that's on me.
Right.
Yeah, but do you understand what I'm saying as far as him making that decision early on and probably what he had to go through? Because those Ohio guys always got ridiculed for leaving and coming over to Michigan. I'm saying that right, So for him to kind of, to finally breathe, like, okay, I guess I made the right decision. Now some can argue that he would have been there no matter what, but you know how that go, man. The school can play a role.
Play right away.
Yeah, exactly.
I blame Ohio State to this day for not bringing him there. I'm still upset. I know I wasn't born back then, but just looking back, how do you let somebody slip through the state boundary.
Well, you wonder if kind of like a Draymond Green, and then you're on deck, John. But like a Draymond Green, could he tell you everybody that was recruited in front of him? Like if you went back, you go back and say names of the time, you'd be like, who?
My dad just said that his high school coach was a running back at Michigan.
Oh, so that
helps a lot too.
Speaking of that, no introduction needed, man. I want to say the fan favorite. All my guys get props, man. But I keep hearing so much about John Rutherford, man. I mean, dude, you done got your second career going off just right. So, John, give me your take on this Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I did throw something at you, kind of audible. I know you can handle just the evolution of the game that makes that comment that Edgerrin James makes so significant to say from gold teeth to a gold jacket as far as where the game is going, perception, the U, and these guys being in the Hall of Fame. So I throw that on you because I know you got strong shoulders. You can handle that.
Well, I mean, the U is one of the, premier college football programs in the history of the game. What they did from early when Snellenberger got there through Jimmy Johnson and past him was amazing. They put a little net around Miami and said, this is where we're going to recruit.
Let me ask you a quick question. Was that the first time local recruiting was done on a large scale where they said we're going to recruit our community, we're going to recruit local, like on a micro level?
Yeah, there's always been a rule of thumb that you got to protect your house and you got to recruit, your state. But Howard Snellenberger had a different idea, and he said that, he actually took a map with streets on it, and he drew a circle around it, and he told the assistants, we're not going out of here right now. We're just staying right here. And they went to neighborhoods that some people maybe at that time didn't want to go into, didn't want to deal with the poverty and everything that goes along with poverty, the situations that people are living in, and the behavior that develops and the thoughts that develop out of coming from that neighborhood. And
it was hot. We're not talking temperature. It was hot.
It was hot.
Well, and it was poor. It was really one of the poorest places in America. And for these guys and the thing that I liked about Howard Snellenberger and Jimmy Johnson is he didn't take that kid and say, oh no, you can't do that. You can't act like that. You can't express yourself like that. There's an old saying, if you got a thoroughbred, let it run. Okay, and a lot of times the things that I get more frustrated with watching sports is when coaches put a bridle on a thoroughbred. And those guys at Miami, let the NCAA change the rule. Let's face it, taunting and all that stuff comes from the behavior of the U.
They went off.
And they had planned. They were besides Billy White Shoes Johnson, the first guys I saw that had planned demonstrations after they did something good. Okay. And some people it just upsets, and other people, it's okay. But, Jimmy Johnson, with him going into the Hall of Fame, it makes me think about going back to Howard Snellenberger and how smart Jimmy Johnson was not to change that philosophy. Howard Snellenberger, one of the great football games in the history of bowl games, was his Miami team beating the big, mighty Nebraska Big Red
Yeah.
in the Orange
Yeah.
Bowl. You know, it used to be the night game to end all the bowl games. It was the New Year's night. And you know, so I mean, for Jimmy Johnson to get in there, but I want to say something about the Hall of Fame. And you know, you say how the game has changed, but I'm gonna tell you something. I was a high school quarterback recruited Division I. I was a baseball player that was offered a minor league contract by the Philadelphia Phillies, and I was a Division I basketball coach. And I was raised in a family that has a father and uncle that are in Hall of Fame. And I learned one thing over my period. Football players are a different breed. They are, you know, I was watching a show the other day. In fact, it was Hard Knocks opening. And Mike McCarthy was talking to his team, and he was telling these guys that they got to buy in. And he was talking about winning the Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. Now, there's a 53-man roster, right? It took 75 players to play that season.
Yeah, I heard him say that, and he talking about how heavy that trophy is.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so, I mean, I've got a lot of respect for football players and for coaches. And, you know, no matter what era you come from, to end up there in Canton, and they know how to celebrate, they know how to throw an event, they know how to run a museum, and it's just a tribute to a lot of people knowing that you were good enough to be put in the Hall of Fame, that you went through high school, you went through college, and you went through pro. And I'm going to leave you with one thing that I learned. Paul Horny, one of the greatest football players of all time, Heisman Trophy winner in Notre Dame, high school teammate of Howard Schnellenberger at Mayo High School in Louisville. Bear Bryant was the coach at the University of Kentucky at the time, walked in and said, Paul, if you come to Kentucky, I'll give everybody on your high school team a scholarship. That's how good he was, okay? Howard Schnellenberger went, played for Bear Bryant, ended up where he did. But Paul Horny said, when I die, I want you to leave on my tombstone, I lived life on scholarship. Thank you.
Wow.
And I'll take my hat off to those guys that traveled that journey, and that journey ended up at Canton, Ohio. I'll tell you, it's a big boy sport. It's a big boy sport today, and it'll be a big boy sport tomorrow. But I'm going to tell you, some of the toughest some bitches I've ever met in my life were football players.
I bet. I love that. You know, we'll close out on that. I appreciate that. Speaking of giving tribute, let's give a tribute and praise to somebody we all know and got love for. My guy Horatio Williams and Horatio Williams Foundation, Dick's Sporting Good, our sponsor, as well as Gilead. And, of course, we got our guy Orlando putting things together. We want to thank Team Michigan. We want to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit of basketball. Actually, I think basketball is going to be our discussion for the rest of the evening. But let's take a quick break from Team Michigan.
Breaking news. Team Michigan Basketball is presenting a series of basketball tournaments at Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. Get your teams registered today. The first tournament in this series is coming this Halloween weekend. Visit boosketball.com or teammichiganbasketball.com for more information.
Any good?
That's right, folks.
Don't look like
It's going to be coming up soon. That's going to be a good time.
coming up.
And my hope is that the weather supports being able to play a little bit of golf when I get up there. So,
You can play golf?
huh?
By October, you'll be playing golf.
Well, I'm saying I hope the weather supports that. You know, it's Michigan, baby.
Right.
You might have snow flurries, but like I said, I'm hoping long sleeve, you know, a little chilly. Get out there and get something in, man. But I'm looking forward to being a part of that.
November and October, my favorite months in the state of Michigan. Great.
I like the
what? When you inside looking out or what?
No, totally outside. November, October.
Hoodie weather, man.
Take those deep breaths and all that. What kind of weather you say it was?
Hoodie weather, man. That enough to get it like a nice hoodie and some sweatpants.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Hey,
and go outside at about 10:30 in the morning. Hoop all day.
I get you. Yeah, but ain't nothing like running out to the store in the middle of the night with some flip flops on and no socks. I love the summertime. We're gonna talk a little basketball, man.
If you're from Michigan, you can do that anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Anytime. So, guys, the question now is, who are we gonna focus on? Who's gonna have the best summer league? Is it the Caves of the world? Is it the Jalen Greens? And they're talking Suggs as well. Talking NBA summer league, guys. I'll start with you, Patrick. And don't feel because we got this Detroit connection that it has to be about Cade. Who do you think is going to end up having the best summer league? And I guess I need to qualify that by saying, what do we consider the best? Because these wins, it's cool to win, but nobody. I remember Josh Hart, like his team had won the summer league, and he was like the MVP. And you're like, who he play for now? Huh?
Yeah, Lonzo was. They won it though, but
Lonzo was the MVP. Okay, all right, my bad.
Team 2 going nuts.
But I just say
they never lost. They went undefeated and they won the championship.
Yeah, but what does that translate to? So my question to you is, who do you see as having the best summer league in totality, and what is that going to look like?
So I think it would be probably Jalen Suggs because his team around, so Cade has to play with Sadiq Bey and what's the left-hander's name?
Oh, Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes.
They're
more ball dominant, and they're running a lot of offense through Sadiq Bey. And so the way that the style is, Cade is not going to really get as many shots as Jalen Green or Jalen Suggs. Like Jalen Suggs had 24 points, 9 rebounds, I think 5 assists the other day.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had a night like that yet. Jalen Green has had 25 points, but not rebounds and assists and stuff like that. So I think as all around, but his team is not as good as theirs. So there's pros and cons to everything.
That's a good point. I like that. Terry, what are you thinking about who's going to have the best summer league and why?
I've seen so many. So I really like the Sharif and Jalen Johnson, that tandem right there. I thought Sharif was a steal, but I mean, I just love that Jalen Green versus Cade game, just because it put things in perspective. And I say that because I say Jalen Green has a better core around him because they had a guy that they could trade and get that luxury around him. Like when you have an all-star like Harden, you can afford to trade him and get some good draft picks and then get people around him. Like other teams like the Pistons, they didn't have that luxury. They were just bad enough to get the number 1 pick. So Cade's going to have some time to get his feet wet, get in there, get used to it. I just love them. I say it like this. The most impactful probably Cade, just because of how important it is for him to be a point guard, new city, need a winning culture. They mic'd him up so many times purposely just because his communication, what he brings to the team.
Well, he's also number 1 draft pick. You got to go with, what the league is banked on too. Right. Let me ask you a question, and I want to get back to it. Fran Fraschilla made a comment, and it was a very bold comment, but he said it so matter of fact. But I just wonder if he may eat those words. He was like, well, when he was watching Houston, he's like, they're not going to win. They're not going to win now. They're not going to win. He was so bold in saying that because they were young. But I'm like, dude, how can you just say they're not going to win? People may not even have anything for that. But I just wonder what you think when you talk about whether it's Houston or Detroit and what they can do now.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Green is going to have that spotlight in Houston for sure. Same with –
and he has a chip on his shoder too. He's pissed. He's like, I should have been number 1.
Yeah. But the thing with me, though, I like the impact a little later in the draft, like guys like Cam Thomas out of LSU. I think he's a steal, too. I thought he played great. As you start to play your best ball down in March, he had some great games in the whether it's a tournament. I remember that game against Alabama in the SEC championship. Dude was balling. I mean, he's a great player. I think he adds to that Brooklyn Nets team. But I think a guy that I think has a really – and I judge by the best summer league of who can make the best impact on that team and who can translate that to the league, because we all know how important it is to go from the college to the NBA. But I like Kuminga the most. To me, I thought he was a guy that I loved from the beginning because he brings the Warriors inside game up a notch. I think it's something that Andrew Wiggins couldn't do, but I think Kuminga has the opportunity to do it times 2 in 1 or 2 years. Just because, I mean, I saw what he did to Franz Wagner. He bully balled him, and that really stuck to me because no one in the Big Ten really did that to Wagner at all. Like, I mean, I give moments. I give you moments.
I will give you. I agree with everything you said. Besides, you compared Franz Wagner. That's not a great guy. He's easy to bully.
No, he said, but nobody took it to him and bullied him. Like, you remember anyone taking it to him like that?
There were a couple of moments. There were a couple moments, but I would say overall, defensively, Wagner was pretty good, being versatile. Yeah, but I would say that you're right. I would say though, but Kuminga does have a better chance to bring the inside game for the Warriors, and I think he's going to be good.
Kuminga he's got the most. He's closer to his ceiling, I should say, and he's more developed. He's a grown man. He's ready to go. He just needs a year for experience. So I agree with you. 2 years, he's gonna be really good.
Before I bring John in, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chad. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
No,
please.
I was gonna say, and he's 18. So I mean, the G League. I would give this. So Mark Jones, the guy commentator for ESPN, brought up a great point. I got to bring on the show. Great point. So Jalen Green and Kuminga and other guys playing in the G League, right? They're playing against veterans, other guys that are looking to be in that spot or wish they were in that spot. So they're getting the best game out of everybody and their mama every night. And so for them to play how they played, we can see how that translates immediately on the court. I mean, the professional, demeanor, their play on the court. So I think the G League experience right now, I think it has some upside, and a lot of people are looking a little differently just because they're playing against these grown men that want what they got right now.
Right.
Once again, Terry McCord bring this. We gotta, I got you, Patrick. Gotta thank and give a special shout out to the McCords who are listening. Your dad, Terry McCord Sr., your mom, Kelly McCord. Man, you guys know what you did with this one. You guys put this one together right. What I will say as I go to you, Patrick, and then defer to John, is what about the sophomore showing by Bol Bol? What do you have, 24 points in 26 minutes or something like that? Putting in that word. Huh? Like bringing a legacy to fruition. And I think one thing we look past is we obviously are talking about the first round draft picks. But what about those players that had a season, to kind of get acclimated, kind of find out what the league, needs from them and be able to go in and produce. You guys know it. If you're not just that guy who's going to always get touches, some players are those players that say, look, man, as a coach, like Tom Izzo would tell the Julius Marbles of the world, hey, you may not play every night, but when I call your number, I need you to be ready to go. And I think a lot of players, that's more of a show of their professionalism, I think, than being able to be drafted. Because at this point, okay, the draft is over. You're going through your summer league. What are you going to do night in and night out to be able to make this roster, to be able to be part of this rotation and help our team be successful? I think that's a bigger question. But, Patrick, you want to add something before John comes on?
Yeah, I just had a question for Terry's point there when he said that the G League was it was looking good. Now that you can make money on your name and likeness, if you're a top guy like a Jalen Green, he didn't play any games on national television, I don't think. I'm not.
Those G League games, you mean?
So I just wanted to ask Terry a question. Do you leave that $500,000 on the table when you can go to Duke and still make $1 million and play on national TV multiple times, tournament time, all that stuff, and still go for the natural achievements that have been basically the stepping stones for 100 years?
I would put that in perspective as like, if I'm Jalen Green and that law was passed back then, I would have went to college for sure, because I think college brings a different exposure. But if I'm a guy that's like sub first round and like I can make a name for myself coming into the combine with some good pro experience, kind of like a Cam Thompson. If he was in high school then, now Scotty Barnes maybe, but like kind of those kind of guys that are like, someone who can give you an impact right away, but in the ways you don't necessarily look for, so I would go to the G League. But if I'm a big name, like They waiting for me to commit. They waiting for this and that. I'm going to college if I can make money.
Right.
Let me say something. That's an excellent question, Patrick. I mean, no, and I don't think you know the power in that question you just posed. I mean, that question is a topic, a seminar, a workshop. Because here's my answer to that question that you didn't pose to me, but I'll jump in on that. Aaron is jumping in. I think a lot depends on the kid's background as well. See, Aaron's right. He's going where I'm going. Aaron, what I'm going to say to add to that is, what's your work ethic? What are your relationships? What is your team, like your squad, like who's around you, helping you? Because if you just trying to coast when it comes to this name, image, and likeness, and I think Aaron is kind of alluding to that, Aaron, you'll probably clarify a little bit more too. If you don't have a team in place, if you don't have a serious work ethic, if you're not taking care of business, if you're not cutting out, the hanger-oners, I mean, if you're doing all the right things, that really determines whether you can stand on your own. And I think it's a great transition before we get to, and we'll talk about this a little bit more after John goes, but can you really bet on yourself? And it's not just in name, no pun intended. It's not just, I'm going to bet on myself. Are you getting up at the crack of dawn? Are you working out? Are you doing the things you need to do? Are you staying healthy? Do you have a nutritionist? Do you have a sports psychologist? Do you have all the things to help you? What kind of brands are you dealing with? Are you plugged with a Clutch Sports? Are you plugged with a smaller thing? What is your long-term plan? And more importantly, and John, this is a great transition for you because your friend Nick Saban said, I don't care how many times you make a field goal. What are you going to do when you miss? So when something happens, are you in a position to be able to turn on a dime? Are you flexible enough that something happens, an injury, a life event, that whether you go to Duke as a Jalen Green or you go to the G League, that you can respond? Now, with that being said, to that excellent question you posed, Patrick, I think it all depends, and maybe that's what Aaron is talking about too. Did you want to follow up with that, Patrick, before we get? No,
I was just reading Aaron's comment.
Yeah, you always watching what Aaron say. John, let's bring you in, man. Thank you for your patience. We originally were talking about the G League. Okay, and here's Aaron following up. He said, for example, I think Grant Hill would still go to Duke. Yeah, because his pockets weren't tight. His parents were, high income or whatever it may be. But that's an excellent way to put it. But see, are people willing to have this? I think, Patrick, I know you meant to do something with that, but I don't think you know the gravity of that comment, because that is something to really be looked at. Everybody, can you check the box to determine if you should go to the G League or be able to go on and handle the name, image, and likeness? And John, we're trying to get to you, but all these great comments keep coming in. So with that, finally, John, I'll defer to you on who do you think had the best summer league, and if you have any thought on what Patrick and Terry and I were talking about it too, we always welcome that.
Well, let me ask you a question, everybody that's here. How many of those guys that are playing on these rosters are going to make it to the NBA?
Everybody who's playing in the summer don't make it.
Yeah, majority of them don't make it.
It's only it's going to be a low number, right? Like 5 maybe?
So to me, I look at it different. The NBA, like any other professional sports, wants to stay relevant as many days as they can. They want to be able to stay in the limelight, in the media as many days as they can. To me, I got to turn it off. I can't watch it very long.
What did you say, John? Enough.
I can't watch it very long. It's terrible. It's terrible basketball. How would you expect to put these teams together in a week, get them all logistically in Las Vegas? What kind of time do you have to prepare a team, put a team together? So this is what I know this league is for, the summer league. It's for guys all around the world. It's all kinds of, there's guys from every country that plays professional basketball in the world are in Las Vegas right now. 90% of these guys are showcasing their talents for overseas because they're not going to play in the NBA. So now, what do I look at? I look at like I watched the first half of Cade and Houston and the Pistons, and I see him. He takes the guy on a hard dribble to the right, and he steps back, and it's a high ball and screen, and he hits a three.
That was a play of the game right there.
You can get to see some guys and see how they ball, are they willing to ball, are they willing to play? Okay, because I mean, Bay in the short, I watched 2 halves of both their games. He's been a ball hog, and if I was the coach, I'd say, well, what are you thinking about? Why, seriously, you think you can make that shot? You think you can do that? It looks terrible while he's doing it. So he has no team thing to be a part of. So, I mean, really, Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham are going to make the rosters. They're going to be in the league, and they're going to start. And Suggs is going to play in these top guys. But the majority of guys that are playing there, they ain't even going to sniff the NBA.
Jello Ball will make the roster in the Hornets.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's a lot of it's a lot of hoopla to me.
Right.
But, and I understand why they do it. They do it to keep relevant, and keep look who it is. It's got ESPN in their own television.
Aaron said that. He said it's a cash grab for the NBA.
Doing multiple games a day, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a doubleheader at night, whatever. So, I mean, they accomplished what they want to accomplish. But as a basketball, see, I'm not a fan. I'm a student of the game.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And I left because the lecturer was boring. I left halfway through class.
That was it. I think this is a great transition. Shout out to my guy, Rod Wilson, who was my consigliere. We counsel on a regular. He responded to the promotion that I sent out today as far as tonight's show. And he mentioned, Dennis Schroeder. So I'm going to put up the Facebook exchange he had. He said, how about Dennis Schroeder betting on himself and losing in the Malice in the Palace? We'll get to that. I said, Rod, great topics indeed. I have a different perspective on Schroeder. It may not be all about the money. And he said, big bro, what's it all about then? And I referenced, when I saw him skateboarding, I thought he may just be content. And remember, he's from Europe, if I'm saying that correctly. So from a cultural standpoint, he may have a different interest and motivation. Finally, money is good, money is important, but it's not that for everything. Let's talk about Giannis for example. And I can't confirm it. I haven't done a deep dive. This is just all cursory. This is just all off the top. But we say he blew it. He could have had this. But if you see this guy skateboarding, he got a different mind. How much is enough? If he can take care of his basic necessities, live his life like he wants, he may indeed be content. So the bigger question is, we can talk about this money grab, but even to Aaron's point when he said, Lindsay, I'm sorry, I just lost my thought. Yeah, when he said the money grab or Grant Hill, did Grant Hill really have to say, man, I got to come out early. I got to take care of my family. He's like, no, man, my mom, went to school with the first lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad was in the league. So I say that to say with Schroeder, so many of us are quick to say he blew it. But I just say he might be like, dude, I don't need to take the money. I'm going to go to you first, Patrick. I don't need to take the money. I'm good over here. Let me do my thing. I'm going to get this $5.9 million for a year, and I'm going to double down. And maybe I don't even want to be with the Lakers. I don't want to do it. So I just think that we got to just look at the bigger picture because it may not always be about that. And just like we talked about with the Hall of Fame, when the Charles Woodsons of the world left his home state of Ohio and played at Michigan, and he ended up with a gold jacket, I think it's still something to be said. Now, I could be wrong. I could be off. But I think that's something to take into consideration. Patrick, what are you thinking?
It's a tough point to make with money doesn't always make the decision. It's not like money wasn't the most important when the reason that he declined 84 is because he was going for 120. See what I'm saying? So he thought that he was worth more than 84, which is why he messed up, which is why he, in my opinion, is an idiot for making that move. I don't know what in his mind made him think he was $120 million guy.
But why not, though? I'm being devil's advocate.
Okay.
You know, look who they get. Okay, is Luka worth that supermax he got? I'm asking. That was going to be a topic.
Yes.
He is. Okay, fine. I guess I lost that one real quick.
He's the number one guy. He's the number one. He's the number one guy in the franchise.
Okay, great. We set the bar.
Yeah.
But Cat's been stealing in the NBA without a mask for a lot of years.
Sure.
What's to say that Schroeder with his little blonde hair couldn't have stole something too?
In my opinion,
I got you, Terry. You up next.
In my opinion, he had a rough year last year. Before last year, he looked better in games than Alonzo Ball did, correct?
Yeah. Sure.
In all of our opinions, we all agree there. Alonzo Ball got $84 million in Chicago.
And that was a surprise, right?
Guy. I'm happy he got it. So do I think that maybe Dennis Schroeder could have been a 95 guy? Sure. But 120, please. And to stick your nose up at 84, now you and seeing the NBA, it's not smart to. It's not like the NFL. Everything is guaranteed here. So you just went from having $84 million guaranteed to 5.9. Anything can happen next year, bro. You may get Isaiah Thomas. They was gonna back up the Brinks truck for him. Now he barely can make a roster and make league minimum.
Patrick, I don't disagree with any state. You make excellent state. However,
DeMarcus Cousins
it's shown us, huh?
DeMarcus Cousins as well.
Okay, but history has shown us, God willing, that a year from now we have this show and we look back and we can look at the career. There's still a potentiality that, you say, hey, John, your son got his mind made up. He said it ain't gonna happen.
He would have to play on to make 120 would be 40 million above average.
Okay, now even if it's not what Jay-Z say on one of his raps, he say, I'm holding out for 300 million, 250, I just might agree, or 275, I just might agree. So 120 was his ceiling, but he'd take 95.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
he's not even a 90 guy, but that's where he should have went.
Yeah, but to that point, he may not be an 85 guy, but but is it what you asked for or what the market is paying?
It was just 4 years. It was the same contract. He got the same offer as Lonzo got. He's an 84 guy. If you want to make 20 to 30 to 40 million dollars above the next guy, then you need to average 20 points on a deep playoff team.
Yeah.
You need to show
that expectations going in, but that didn't work. Terry, you want to add to that?
Yeah. So I mean I understand, the bet on yourself, but you bet on yourself when you have proof and you have evidence of why you should bet on yourself. Like, that's like me packing my bags right now. I'm not finished with school. Like, I'm still figuring out what I want to do, and I'm just going to New York because that's where dreams come true, the American dream. I need somebody at work. I need, some experience here, then go to New York if that's my calling. But, like, look, Dennis Schroeder, look. You got to get your money. And that was a great point about the NFL and NBA. Guaranteed money. Like, LA, I don't even know why they gave you that much, but they offered you a very generous offer. And he declined it. I don't know why, but he decided that he was worth 120. But with LA and what the moves that LA, I don't know who's in his corner, but you got to know that LA is looking to make moves. So you asking for that much money isn't gonna come because they have to use the rest of that cap and get somebody else. And for him to go to the Celtics, I wouldn't say he's betting on himself there because they got a guy like Peyton Pritchard that they really love over there. They love Peyton Pritchard. They love what he brings coming in. So I mean, I don't know if he's trying to take Kemba's spot and start, but I just don't see anybody willing to decline
New York.
And I don't know if he thinks that he's going to the Celtics and like kind of fulfilling that role and starting with Tatum and them. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's trying to replace that, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you have no evidence. You didn't play well. You had some inconsistency issues, and you want 120 more than what they're giving you. That's like a guaranteed fail. And now he's taking the minimum for what Celtics are like, here, I guess we'll give you this. I guess we'll give you $5 million. It's a bad move.
If he's on a decent team, he's got Tatum. He's got some guys to make him look good. If he has a good year shooting the ball, if he has a good year, period, he can get it. He can get 90 million. He can get.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this right now, Patrick, for everybody here
for no reason is what I'm saying.
I'm telling you this now. If something happened with Schroeder make a big come up, I'm calling you in the middle of the night. You say, wake up. Look at
he signed a 1-year deal though, so he can use that 1 year and leverage himself.
That's it.
You know what I
and
mean?
that's what I was saying.
Deal.
Let's keep an eye on that. John, did you want to add anything to this topic before we move on to USA basketball?
Well, no, it just the young man, I guess, has a problem understanding the value of a dollar because anybody that lets 84 million slip through your hands.
So does he fire? So he need to fire his agent?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And he needs to get a new group of friends to talk to.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, well, wait a minute. He's not a clutch guy, is he?
No. I hope not.
Well, look what happened to him. Magic threw him underneath the bus. I mean, he publicly went out and just destroyed him in the game that he played in the playoffs. So you need to. So he not only did he leave $84,000 on the table, but he had to pack his bags and get out of town because Magic didn't want him there anymore.
Yeah, that was a piss of death. That was something. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, and I want to shout out again to Rod Wilson for adding that comment early on today, and like we'll do the audible. Stay with me, guys. We're going to stay here right now. Again, I want to give a shout out to the Horatio Williams Foundation. My guy H helping us with some great things we got going on, some things we got coming up to include what we're going to be doing with the Star Showcase. The SPS Star Showcase is coming up pretty soon, September 4th. I'll tell you guys more about that. Again, Gilead and Dick's Sporting Good. We'll take a quick break for Team Michigan, then we'll be back to talk a little bit USA basketball gold, men's and women's. Then we'll finish up with the top 5 centers that are alive. My guy Aaron already had his in. See you guys in a second.
You know who it is, baby. And I'm here to tell you about the new youth basketball tournament in Michigan. Team Michigan Basketball has done the work. It's prime time. They are PTPers, baby. Get ready for a scary good basketball tournament Halloween weekend at the venue of all venues, Baby Grand Traverse Resort. I'm talking about a diaper dandy, baby. I mean awesome with a capital A. A basketball tournament that is designed with the entire family in mind. Escape to a 900-acre northern Michigan resort just outside of Traverse City. Enjoy 54 holes of championship golf, spa, indoor-outdoor tennis, indoor water playground, fitness center, private beach club, 4 restaurants, shopping, and now basketball. I can't wait, baby! It's the stay to play that will make your day! Halloween weekend 2021. Check it out at www.boosketball.com. Register your team soon. This one is going to fill up quickly. A basketball tournament at a resort. That's a slam, bam, jam, baby!
Yeah, folks, we're back. Breaking news, my guy Rod Wilson. Look, man, I jumped in late. He kind of echoed you guys' sentiment. What did Rod say? I'm going to pull up. Rod said, I jumped in late. He has to fire his agent. 84 versus 6. Shaking my head.
At least he gets all the 6, you know what I mean, compared to the NFL. If he wants to think positive, but dude,
hey, listen, I'm okay being in the super minority on this. I'm just saying it's not a done deal yet as it relates to what can happen in the future. And wouldn't it be something if this story changes going forward? What did Rod say? He said, I heard on the jump that LA offered more than 5.9 to stay, and he passed. I think but you know, to John's point, I think Magic burned him. Once Magic said that, you know, it was like, Magic don't want me. The city don't want me. They go chew me up and spit me out. What'd you say, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. hey, former president, you're fired. You're out of here, right? So let's talk a little USA basketball. You know, I'm repping my Olympics right now.
Right before we go there, just before we go there,
yes, sir.
21 million a year.
Say one more time.
21 million a year guaranteed compared to 6.
Hope he did good with his savings, man. We're gonna see. The men won gold. Congratulations to them. You look at this team, and we're spoiled, man. Because to be honest, if you didn't know, like, who's a superstar on this team? Okay, KD excluded. I mean, it's not the LeBrons, the Kobes, the Jordans, and whatnot. And I don't care. I know that this illustrious panel, overall said that they would get gold. I was a little skeptical. I was a little worried. Maybe it's just me. It just wasn't a done deal. And if you really look at it, that final game, it still was within 10 points of a gold medal game. It wasn't totally a blowout. And both Draymond Green and Kevin Durant was quick to jump on social media and, kind of spit back at everybody saying, hey, we told you. But the question I want to pose, guys, is along with the guys and what they did, I'm looking for my picture of the ladies, and I may not have pulled them up. And this is no slight to the ladies. I made a mistake of not pulling that picture up.
They won easy.
Yeah, but so to your point, which was more impressive, man? Was it the fact that these great players, some of them flew in on a private jet after winning NBA championship, put it together, got the chemistry together and won, or the run that the ladies have been on for the past, 7 Olympics, 7 goals? I mean, do we downplay that? I mean, there's still women competing with women. It's not like it's men playing against women. Is it the sports haven't evolved like one? But why is it, that the ladies have been so dominant to the point where Dawn Staley's like, I'm done. And I don't know if she's getting ready to sniff a NBA coaching job, which I think may be the case. As a side note, I don't know what's up with Becky Hammon making that comment, don't hire me just to check the box. Like, woman, if you get a job as a head coach, whether you're the first woman, the first African-American, first alien, yeah, we checking the box. Take the job. That's another conversation within itself. I don't know if she's trying to cover for not doing well in interviews. And I know I didn't really want to make this about Becky Hammon, but I heard that and I was like, wow, like what kind of who wants to work with you to make that comment? So anyway, what do you guys think? And this is not a ploy, Patrick, to kind of to that Becky Hammon comment. Oh, you just want to say something nice about the ladies, but the ladies went on a run, unprecedented run, man. It's been 7 gold medals, man. And even though the men won and people were supporting it, it was a little concerning. And the women, put it this way, I'll leave it like this, and I'll go to our great panel. The women have had an unquestioned record of success in the Olympics. The men have not, simply put. So which is more of a thing to tout, what the men accomplished with this gold medal or what the women have been accomplished? I'll start with you, Patrick.
Well, I think they're both big dogs. You know what I mean? Both of them are accomplished gold, which there's no better. And it's world competition. You played against the best players from around the world. So it's a big time thing on both ends. But the girls is more impressive because I believe they're above 55 plus consecutive wins in a row. I think this is their 7th gold in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, come on. That's outrageous. That's ridiculous.
This is Aaron talking about Carol Lawson. Hey, man, that is don't nobody say nothing bad about Carol Lawson. That's my friend. We on LinkedIn together. I watch her and I'm inspired. I think you're absolutely right. There's a chance that she could jump the line, for lack of a better term, to Aaron's point about her getting a head coaching job in the NBA before Hammond or Dawn Staley. And we all love Dawn Staley. And the only reason I say she could skip the line, you make a great point, Aaron, because she already got that NBA pedigree. Now, Becky Hammon may have been the first assistant, but the question becomes, who has the most impact? She coached a Jason Tatum and was able to give him high five, like, job well done, and she's into that. So I think that's a good point. Who's going to win that race? Guess who joined us? Orlando Watkins, brother Watkins. He said the women for sure. The women's game is about teamwork. Sound and teamwork.
Egos at the door.
We just witnessed Sound Mind, Sound Body. They had a week-long girls basketball camp at Cass Tech. I was very fortunate with the help of Orlando Watkins to go over there and address those. Shout out to my guy, Curtis. Blackwell, got to see him today. Congratulations on the addition to the family. But you make a great point, and I wonder if we're in such a masculine-driven world, Orlando, that we don't get that we don't see that, or that we look at, holding the women up high as potentially just being, to that Becky Hammond comment about just being a check-the-box type situation. But, I mean, at the end of the day, women played against the women. They dominated throughout the world. And now you're looking at some of these women, potentially being head coaches in the NBA as a matter of time. I guess the question I could pose before I go to you, Terry, is how many more seasons? Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many more seasons before the NBA has a female head coach? We don't know. I say 2. I say if not this all. Well, the question is, where are their coaching openings?
Yeah.
And John, I never thought you probably thought you'd never see the day, but I mean that may be coming. Rod says ladies are very much impressive with the 55 win and goals, but women's level of competition is still behind. But my question to you, Rod, is this though: behind compared to who? Is women playing
men?
Well, yeah, but they're not playing each other, is what I say. So
yeah,
but if you send a woman out to compete with another woman, there's still a level of equality with that because they're still women playing against women. We got Orlando. Orlando says Staley would be the first head. He gives it 5 years. Okay, we'll remember that. Australia was missing Liz Cambridge. Yeah, we love some Liz Cambridge too. That's true. But we're going to keep an eye on that and see. Terry, what's your thoughts on who's more impressive, the men or the women, and the parity that's going on or lack thereof when they talk about comparing women's basketball to men's basketball?
Yeah. So this topic, I didn't know what side I wanted to be on.
Your sister's a baller. She gets it in. And I know your mama gonna be at home like, what you gonna say, son?
I thought both sides, very thoroughly, and really wanted to pick which one I felt confident of sharing about. And going through the men's, like basketball has spread it so far on the men's side of things that the competition level is there because everyone, the rules are different compared to the NBA. Everyone around the world is just getting used to the game of basketball as it keeps evolving. The NBA game is now starting to become more European style, and so like it's a lot more competition that way. But I say this game, the most impressive to me, I think, would be how dominant the WNBA stars were, and I got to give a shout out to like Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Stewie, and then Brittany Griner. Like those three to me, and Taurasi and Sue Bird for sure for their leadership. Taurasi's already saying we'll see you in Paris, so she'll be back next year. But I mean, to be real, I gotta say the women, because they won every game by 15, 20 plus. They're young stars. I think this was also impactful for them too, because they're young stars like Asia Wilson, Stewie, and Griner, who still has some numerous amount of years behind them. Like I'm ignoring that. He's stealing my points, but anyway, he's stealing my points. But to be real,
You say, get him out of here. You say, but shout out to you, Mr. McCord. You say no woman in the world can match up with Brittany Griner. Yeah. I mean, but that's fair. That's not just your point. Nobody's gonna disagree with you on that one, Terry.
But to be real, I gotta say the women though, just like thinking of overall how they're trying to expand their game. I think them showing how the U.S. women's team is the best team in the world.
Really, and they won the 3-on-3 too. They won the 3-on-3.
And so it's even better way to show that, hey, the WNBA is out here. They got great players, and their young players are going to be there for a long time. I mean, I see Asia Wilson, Stewart for sure. Stewart is a beast. Breanna Stewart, if anyone has not seen her play, whether it's at UConn, I'm sure you heard about UConn.
She used to work out with Russell Westbrook. She said Russell was helping her. He was rebounding for her when she was coming back off her rehab.
Like Kevin Durant, but she's a woman though. Like she'll give it to you. She'll give a lot of these men here buckets. So I say the women.
Who's that?
Go ahead.
Breanna Stewart, Stewie.
Oh, okay.
I can see her give some.
John, I know with you having the maturity that you have and seeing the things you've seen, evolution is something. I mean, we talked about, from a Hall of Fame standpoint, and we watched the U play football, but your perspective. But now we're at this point where women's basketball is, at the forefront. We're literally talking about, Becky Hammond has been interviewing for head coaching jobs. When you go from interviewing, it's only so long before you get that call. You talk about the arms race, who's going to be there first, Dawn Staley, Carl Lawson, or, Becky Hammond. I mean, along with just your thought on men versus women as far as who's been more impressive, just take me through a little time capsule, because there was a time that you saw, from a number of reasons, whether it's minorities, whether it's women, that it wasn't even a thought that this was going to be on the table. And now, let's face it, John, I think you're going to witness some of this.
Well, I mean, the game has come a long way, no doubt about it. But I think one of the important things to remember when you're comparing the women and the men in the Olympics is the evolution of the WNBA. Remember, it wasn't too long ago that our women basketball players had to go overseas to make money.
That's right.
There wasn't a chance for them to make money.
They split their seasons. They had to split their season.
And you don't see the American women playing as much overseas as they used to. And that stifles the evolution of the other parts of the world, women playing basketball, because they don't have a chance to play against these women on a night in, night out time. So I think with the evolution of the WNBA gave the Americans a chance to even further the gap a little bit and make it tougher for other parts of the world to compete with them. And then when it comes time to the men, to me, it came down to separate and make it a 12-point, 14-point game, the U.S. upped their defense. Draymond Green was spectacular. Drew Holiday was spectacular. They upped the pressure. And the rest of the world, I go back to the same thing I say every week when we talk about basketball. Man, give me that guy that had to guard somebody on the outdoor court to stay on the court. It was point game, and they had to stop and get the ball back. And the U.S. just upped it. They upped the pressure, and they just got in their grill. And they were able to get a few points and get that separation. And the reason I think the game was close was they stopped giving the ball to Durant. I mean, all of a sudden these other guys are, we talked earlier about when you got a thoroughbred, let it run. I thought Pop kind of was playing the clock a little bit in the fourth quarter. It's a 10-minute quarter, so it goes by faster. They were late getting into stuff where they were in attack mode. They were gonna run some time off the clock. Hell, man, you got the premier dog in the world on your team.
Let them go.
You can put the ball in the basket, give it to them, and let's win this game by 20.
And get up out of here. Let them go.
But the defense and not giving them the ball made that game close.
I get it. Well, I think that's going to be an open-ended question. We're going to continue to discuss, that idea and what we see is happening. With that, as we get ready to get out of here, we're going to get to the last topic, guys, and that is talking about top 5 dead or alive. Now, I don't know what we're going to do now. We done finally made it to the centers, guy. I don't know what we're going to do next week. What we're going to talk about? We're going to go to hockey, the top 5 power forwards in hockey, whatever or not. But I'm sure we'll be able to narrow that down. But got to give a shout out to our guy, Aaron. Even though he's not here with us, he pops in and out. He got his in for you, Patrick. He got his in. And his top 5 dead or alive, drum roll, please. Aaron is like, boom. He said, I got Abdul-Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, O'Neal, and Olajuwon. Special consideration to Elvin Hayes, but his favorite all time was Bob Lanier. So that's Aaron. This is Aaron making a comment right now. Aaron is on it right now. Aaron says Abdul-Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, O'Neal, and Olajuwon. So I'm looking at you, Patrick. Did you name your 5? You didn't make that face, so you must not have named your entire 5. And my man Russell got some on deck. We'll put Roz out in a second too.
Russell not in my top 5, but it's a good top 5 though.
Whoa! Why's Bill Russell, Mr. 11 rings in the hand, not in your top 5, Patrick? And your dad shaking his head. He don't even. What happened, man? I'm just, you know what? I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to get clarity.
It's just because of the. I think he's one of the greatest athletes ever. He was 6'9" plus and could run and jump, and he was a great defender, and he changed the game. For his era, he's the best center in his era. Okay, but I think the playoffs, they only had like 6 teams or something back then. Like it was like the way to go get them rings is not how it was set up today.
Okay.
Like
so remind me again of your 5.
The level of competition wasn't there.
So remind me again of your top 5 then.
I mean, just take out Russell.
Who you replacing Russell with?
I don't know. Probably somebody like David Robinson or like
Terry say what?
Somebody like that.
John, what are you being? You know what? Did you have that 5, and because Aaron had that same 5, you're changing your 5 because you had the same 5 that Aaron had? Patrick, is that it?
No, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest player to ever touch a ball.
Okay, we give him that. Next week.
Any
top
era,
5 players. No
any
position
era, any time, any place. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. How many games did he lose in high school? 1 game in 4 years. How many games did he lose in college? 1 game in 4 years. 3 seasons. 2. Then he goes to Milwaukee, the middle of nowhere compared to where he's from, and wins a ring there. Then goes to the Lakers, and you know what? He won 5 more, and then he's the only person in NBA history to have 6 MVPs, I think.
Okay. Listen, we got
and he's got the most points in NBA history.
We got the Kareem down. So you're saying you agree with this, with the exception of Bill Russell. You're going to take him out for the Admiral. You're going to put David Robinson.
I just don't know who to put in. Yeah, I just don't know who to replace him. I just don't think he's top 5. But
okay,
I don't really
come back around to that.
I don't have anybody specific to put in there at the 5 because the 5 position really has stopped after Shaq. There's not really been anybody after Shaq, really.
Well, this is what I want to do. I want to go to Rod before I go to Terry. My guy Rod jumps in. Rod said Kareem, Wilt, Hakeem, Russell, and Shaq.
Yeah.
You nod to that one, Patrick, but again, you got to replace the 4th person on there, Russell again.
Yeah, I just don't know who to put in there, so I guess he deserves it. But I mean,
I don't know what your deal is. What happened with him when he was younger, John, with him and the Celtics, that he got an issue with anybody in Celtic Green and Bill Russell?
I have no problem with it. I'm just saying, look at these guys on the list. Look at these guys on the list. Okay. Shaq. He played in a league where there were 82 games, 30-something teams. He had to play so many games to get to the NBA championship. Bill Russell did not have to do that.
But Bill Russell couldn't help the league.
And then go look at the average height back then. Go look at the average.
He went up against Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt's on that. He went up against
yes. And that's what I'm trying to say. These conversations always get messed up because they're hard conversations.
You know what?
He's the best of his era.
What I want to do
Bill Russell is the best of his era, hands down.
I want to apologize because when you did not mention Russell, it was not for me to challenge that because the rule was supposed to be, this is your fight and you gave rationale, but it just kind of surprised me.
He's the greatest center of his era. There was nobody better during the times of the Boston Celtics. I'm
going to give you a heads up before I go to Terry and finish with John. Next week, we're going to do top 5 dead and top 5 alive, all positions. We just do it like that, and we see how that goes. Rod, thank you for sharing that. Kareem, Wilt, Hakeem, Russell, and Shaq. Terry, you have the floor. Who's your top 5?
My top 5, I got Kareem at 1. I have Hakeem at 2. I have Shaq at 3. and I got Russell and Wilt in that order at 4 and 5.
Okay. Let's say that one more time.
I got Kareem.
Patrick. Hey, mom coming at you, Patrick. Mom said no one would remove Bill Russell from that list. Sorry, Patrick. My opinion.
Well, Mom, it wouldn't be a show if every single person on here had the same list and same opinion.
You know what?
It might not even be my real opinion. I'm just doing it because everybody agreeing with each other.
You know what? That's what we pay Patrick,
guys.
That's what we pay Patrick the big bucks for. You absolutely right, and it kept the conversation going. I'm not even tripping on that. But Mom got up out of her seat on that one. I don't want to look at that. She co-signed you. True, Patrick. True. You got co-signed just like that. Just that. You smooth. I don't want to overlook or overshadow what you said. Can you repeat again, Terry, your 5? This is my sake.
Yeah. I got Kareem at number 1. I mean, the leader of points, arguably the most unguardable shot ever. I think it is the most unguardable shot ever. I got him at 1. I got Hakeem at 2. I believe that he was, better than Shaq in my opinion. He could do a lot more. I love that dream shake. I guess they used to call it the dream shake.
Yeah.
The under move, but I love that. I got Shaq at 3. I think Shaq is probably the most dominant force we've seen in sports. I have him at 3. I don't think he was the best just because he was always around pretty good teams, which is why I think he's at 3 in my opinion. And I have Russell at 4. I can't leave a guy with 11 rings out, and he was an incredible ball player. I mean, athlete all around. And I have Wilt at 5. I don't care if he scored 100 points. Dude wasn't really a winner to me. He wasn't a winner. He only had, 1 ring? I mean, for somebody to be that good and to win 1 ring, I just don't think Wilt is that good of a player to me. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's right at 5 in my opinion, because I think there's a lot more he could do if he was a better teammate.
My mom is arguing against Shaq. No free throw, Shaq. Shaq can't hit no throws. You got some more support for your take. I'm going back to Patrick and Rod's point. I can agree with Patrick to a degree. He even goes on to say, can it be argued that Russell was an undersized and considered a power forward? So should he even have been, could we even put him in a different category? That's something to think about. That's really good. I mean, it's a lot to talk about with that. And I think this conversation has probably gotten a little bit more discussion than some of the other positions, if I can remember correctly. I guess for so long, the NBA has been rooted around, the big man. It's been that probably up until recently. And John, I'm sure you can relate to that from George Mikan. And to be honest, think about it. George Mikan is the only one who transcended something. He's the only one that got his own drill that we talk about. You get your game started with the Mikan. You know what I'm saying? That Mikan, you about to start right there. So, John, you've been able to sit by and listen to what's been going on. Give us your take on your top 5 centers as we get ready to wrap up today's show.
Well, Kareem, I got as number 1. Number 2, I don't have a problem with Terry's top 5. I don't know if I'd have them in that particular order. Wilt, by the way, Terry won 2.
Okay.
He broke the Boston Celtics streak in Philly in 1967. They set an NBA record that Michael Jordan's team eventually broke with wins. But you got to consider Wilt, and I don't know. I don't know who this guy is sitting next to me.
He's a maverick. He's a maverick.
Yeah, that's my son. But Bill Russell.
Everybody out here just had the same list, even the 2 guests. Literally same list.
Bill Russell.
But maybe that's it. That's it, man. That list is what it is.
Patrick Ewing probably a 5 for me too. Him and Wilt was up there. Patrick Ewing up there too.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of good ones. And Elijah one, he had that move on the baseline that was, man, just incredible. And the speed he had and the quickness and the reflexes and to be able to move laterally like he did was just a thing of beauty. But, Bill Russell, 2 NCAA championships, a gold medal, and 11 rings, and was a great player. Was a great player, and he deserves to be in there. In fact, you talk about a drill, but don't they have a Bill Russell Award now in the finals?
Yeah,
The MVP is named after him
The MVP
because he won so many.
Yes.
And
And then you can also
we were talking about Elijah Wan. He took ballet lessons to move like that. Is what my mom.
and you can also agree that he's the only one on that list out of all 5 of those guys. He's the only one on that list whose game isn't timeless. Could not play.
Who are you referring to again? Who we talking about?
Bill Russell
Yeah.
would not be significant. His game wouldn't be significant today. All
But
those
I can
guys
also
that you
argue
named,
this.
all those guys that you named are timeless. Like they could be dropped in any era and be great. Like they're all the greatest names.
Well,
I agree. He was the best of his time.
Even
I
like
agree he
small
was the best
ball?
of his time. But go look at how little the league was. Go
Well,
look
let me
how
ask you
small
this.
the league-
How many on that list was also a player coach and can sit up in the stands and drink coffee with the owner and decide whether it was going to play or not and what was going to happen? I'm going to send Mr. Russell looking for you, Patrick. I'm going to send him
That's
looking for you. No, I appreciate that, Patrick. You make a good point. When you challenge us to our thinking, you're right. It shouldn't be us just going one way. And I give you grief because I know you can handle it and you make good points to support that. And I think that's good. But I think you also kind of led us to another talking point going into the next few weeks as far as deciding, what our next topic will be. Will it, as it relates to that, will it be best players dead or alive? I mean, we said dead or alive for about a month and a half now. So maybe we can just do a total, comprising whether it's a starting 5 alive or a starting 5 dead. You raising your hand? What do you think?
Let's make it difficult. Let's add a little bit of difficulty to
Okay,
it.
come on.
Let's go top 15.
Ooh,
Top
that's
15 players.
And we'll start, top 15 players of all time, your opinion, NBA. And then let's start at 15 through 10. Then the next week we'll go 10 through 5 and whatever. You know what I mean?
okay.
The only suggestion I'll make, can we just do one thing? Can we do it in forms of 10? 10 at a time.
Yeah, let's do 2 weeks. We'll do top 20 in 2 weeks.
So we do top. So we'll go from
10
20 to whatever
10.
to 10. Well, 20 to 20 through 11. So 11 through 20, and then the next week is that for living in the dead. Okay, we'll work that.
Top guys.
John, you on the edge of your seat? You got something for us?
Yeah, just my close. I was reading reports today on the census, and I see that our beloved Detroit lost 10% population since 2010, and it's down below 700,000. And I just want to thank Orlando Watkins and our good friend Horatio Williams for sticking in there every day and helping our city be a better place for our kids to grow up in. And I thought about those guys today and the George Wards and the different guys that are there today. And I just want to say thank you to them. And I appreciate them and I love them.
Wow, what a great point. And you're right. The Orlandos, the Horatios, the George Wards of the world, they were there when Detroit wasn't sexy. They were there holding it down when people were just passing it by. And now people come and they, shout praises to them when they was already putting in the work. So I appreciate you saying that. And John, your history, you've definitely seen it all the way around. But again, we've had another great show, guys. I can't thank you enough. I also want to thank those who are checking in, all my Rods, Rod Wilson, Rod Elsie. That's a throwback. Mama, I had Rod Elsie from McKinney Elementary on. That's old school. He was showing love all the way from Minnesota. Aaron Mays, man, we can't tell you how much you add and contribute to this show. Orlando popped in as well. My mom is saying a special thanks to John. John, my mom loves your comments because she can relate as it relates to from a historical perspective. When you make comments about Griggs Stadium or things like that, it just really warms her heart to hear that. And Aaron, great job once again. No, that's because of you, man. I hope I didn't forget anybody who may have checked in. Mr. Terry R. McCord, not to be confused with Terry McCord Jr., holding us down, man. We appreciate you. And with that being said, until next week, thank you guys for supporting SPS. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.